Hey everyone, welcome to the last lesson of my 3D modeling for 3D printing course.
We're in the end game now.
And today we're going to talk about SLA printing, some of the benefits of why you would use it over FDM printing, and some of the downsides as well. So what does SLA stand for? It stands for Stereolithography Apparatus, which just means that it takes liquid resin, shines UV light on it to harden it, and then pulls the print out of a vat. Now, the good thing about SLA printing is that it shines the light on an entire layer at a time. So something that takes an FDM printer like over a day to print, it'll take an SLA printer a lot shorter, like a few hours. Also, because these layers are microscopic, um, you won't notice the layer lines as much as you would on an FDM printer. So the resolution on your prints will be a lot finer if you notice the layers at all. For example, these are a couple of models that I printed. They were created by Fat Dragon Games, and I don't know if you can notice, but I certainly can't notice any layer lines at all. But it's not all good news. Resin is highly toxic, so you should never pour it down the drain. You definitely shouldn't drink it. And it is also a skin irritant, so you should always wear gloves while handling your finished prints. So it is a lot more of a hassle than you would need to with FDM printing. Also, you need to clean the prints using isopropyl alcohol. Now, there are resins that are water washable, but the vast majority of resins, you would need to use something like IPA or isopropyl alcohol, which in and of itself is very flammable and stinky. But it does really help to have a wash and cure station like this one. Just to have like a dedicated space where you can have these chemicals out to wash your prints and then eventually cure them is very helpful and convenient. After washing, I do like to take the supports off before curing them because before you cure it, the print is a lot softer, so it is a lot easier to take the supports off without like breaking or cracking the print. And then after the supports are removed, you need to cure it in UV light. You can use the sun, but the sun is not always reliable. So having a wash and cure station like this is very convenient. And while there are different kinds of resins out there that can make the print more flexible and harder and less brittle, the majority of resin compared to FDM like PLA is going to be a lot more brittle. So if you're printing functional parts, then usually FDM is the way to go. But if you're printing small, like fine detail things like miniatures, then SLA printing is what you would want to go with. Another bad thing about most SLA printers is that the build plate is a lot smaller than their FDM counterparts. So for the same price, you could get a bigger build plate on an FDM printer versus an SLA printer, which the build volume might be super tiny. For example, I made this tree, and I was gonna use an SLA printer for the whole thing, but the trunk, it has these like stabilizing roots. It was too big for the build plate that I had, so the trunk is actually printed with FDM, and the branches are printed with an SLA printer. And if you notice the trunk, you can see the layer lines a lot more clearer than uh, the branches. I don't know about you, but I can't really see any layer lines on the branches at all. except for a little bit on the leaf over here. And if you're interested in how I made this tree with climbable branches, that'll be in my next video, where I start a series of me just modeling things in Blender and then printing it out to show you how it turned out. And spoiler alert, this one is actually not that great. So if you're interested in that video, keep an eye out for that one. But yeah, that's about it for today. Hopefully you have a better understanding of the differences between FDM printing and SLA printing and which one might be better for different circumstances. And if you have reached this part of my tutorial series, hopefully you have a better understanding of how you can use Blender to 3D model things and print them. But yeah, like I said, the next video is going to be on how I made this tree and why it's not that great. But you might learn something, so keep an eye out for that video. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.